People say identity is something you discover. But for me, identity was something I had to survive. Because the day I realized I wasn't adopted. The day I realized my parents didn't take me in out of kindness. But bought me. Like property, like an object, like something that could be priced. That was the day a part of me died. My name is Sloane. And this isn't the story of a girl searching for where she belongs. This is the story of a girl discovering she was never meant to belong in the first place. Some kids grow up feeling loved. Some grow up feeling protected. I grew up feeling borrowed. Life in small-town Ohio was quiet, predictable. But my childhood wasn't. At home, there were family traditions. But I wasn't part of any. There were family photos on the walls. But I wasn't in a single one. There were holidays, gatherings, dinners. Yet somehow, I always ended up serving food. Cleaning plates. Or sitting alone on the staircase watching everyone laugh without me. My mom. The woman I believed was my mom. Treated me like I was a roommate who never paid rent. My dad. Never raised his voice, never raised his hand. But he never raised his eyes to meet mine either. It wasn't hatred. It was distance. A distance so cold it felt intentional. In school, kids have a talent for sniffing out weakness. One day, in 3rd grade, a girl named Harper stared at me during recess. "You don't look like your parents," she said suddenly. "Are you adopted?" I remember freezing. I didn't even know what to say. That rumor became my identity. At least to others. By middle school, it turned into jokes. "You don't belong with them. Your mom looks nothing like you. You sure they didn't pick you up from a parking lot?" Every insult stung. Not because it sounded cruel. But because it sounded possible. Birthdays were the worst. No balloons. No cake. No hugs. No candles. Just silence. One year, when I turned 10, I whispered to myself before bed. "It's okay. Maybe they just don't like celebrating." But the next morning, I watched from my room as they cut a cake for my younger cousin. At our kitchen table. With decorations, music, and laughter. My cousin was just visiting. Visiting. Yet she got the celebration that I never had. It hit me that day. It wasn't that they didn't like celebrating birthdays. They just didn't like celebrating mine. At 16, I applied for my learner's permit. Everyone does. But when I asked Mom for my birth certificate, she froze for a second. Just 1 second. And then covered it with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "We lost it," she said. Lost it? They kept every receipt, every medical file, every school report. Organized by year, in alphabetical order. But my birth certificate was lost. When I pressed her tone snapped. "Don't make everything complicated, Sloane." Her anger didn't scare me. Her fear did. It was the first time I noticed she looked nervous. On my 18th birthday, the house was silent as usual. Dad left before sunrise. Mom made coffee only for herself. No happy birthday. No acknowledgement. By evening, I told myself I didn't care. Even though I did. While searching for a blanket in the hallway closet, my foot hit something. A wooden box. Heavy. Old. Locked with a rusted latch. It felt out of place. Like it wasn't meant to be found. I carried it to my room. Closed the door. Sat on the floor. And opened it. The smell hit me first. Old papers, dust, something untouched for years. There were envelopes, folded documents. And a small photograph of a woman I didn't recognize. But the paper on top. The one that made my heart stop. Looked like an invoice. A receipt. My hands trembled as I read it. Payment received. Child transferred. Next to the words was my name, my birthdate, and a signature belonging to someone named M. Patterson. A name I had never heard in my life. A chill went down my spine. My vision blurred. My breath caught. I wasn't adopted. I wasn't fostered. I wasn't taken in. I was purchased. Just as I was piecing my shattered identity back together, I heard footsteps behind me. Mom. Her face changed the second she saw the papers in my hands. Not shock. Not guilt. Fear. Pure, cold fear. Sloan, put that back. Her voice was low, controlled, almost dangerous. What is this? I asked. My voice was shaking. Tell me what this is. Why is there a receipt with my name on it? Who is Patterson? She didn't reach to comfort me. She didn't even pretend. She just said the sentence that destroyed everything. You were never supposed to see that. I stood up slowly, the papers still in my hand. What do you mean? I whispered. Am I adopted? Am I stolen? What happened to me? Her jaw tightened. Her eyes hardened. I said put it back. And then? She lunged toward me. She tried to grab the documents. But I held them tighter. In that moment, I realized something terrifying. She wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of losing the truth. Because I wasn't just hiding a past. I was hiding someone's crime. And I wasn't ready for it. But I was about to uncover it anyway. Because that receipt, that signature, that wooden box, was only the beginning of the truth they buried. And the real story, the one they hoped would stay dead, was darker, bigger, and far more dangerous than I could have imagined. Mom tried to grab the receipt from my hand. But this time, I wasn't the scared kid she raised. I stepped back. Tell me the truth, I said, my voice shaking. Or I swear I'll go to the police. Her face twisted. Not with fear. Not with guilt. But with anger. You ungrateful girl, she hissed. We gave you a life. A home. Food. School. You should be thankful. Thankful? For being sold? I screamed. Dad appeared behind her, half awake, confused. What's going on? He asked. Mom snapped before I could speak. She found the box. His face drained of color instantly. That moment told me everything. They both knew. They were both involved. Dad whispered. You should have burned that box years ago. My chest tightened. My skin turned cold. They weren't denying it. They weren't shocked. They weren't even sorry. They were scared because I finally knew. That night, I locked my bedroom door. Kept the documents under my pillow. And planned my escape. I didn't sleep a minute. Every time the old wood floor creaked outside my door, my heart stopped. At 4:20 a.m., I put my shoes on, stuffed the documents into my backpack, and climbed out the window. My breath fogged in the cold morning air. As I walked away from the only home that was never really mine. I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I didn't look back. Because for the first time ever, I felt like I was walking toward something. Not away from it. The county building opened at 8 a.m. I sat on the steps outside for almost 3 hours, clutching my bag like it was the last piece of me left. When the clerk finally typed in the name M. Patterson, I watched her expression change slowly. Like she was reading a horror story. And wasn't sure how to tell me the ending. She turned the screen toward me. There it was. A missing infant report. Filed 18 years ago. Female infant. Mother, Margaret Patterson. Case status, unsolved. The description said. Disappeared from hospital room. No witnesses. Suspected abduction. My legs went numb. The clerk swallowed hard. You said this was your mother? I nodded, tears burning behind my eyes. She leaned closer. Then you have been missing for 18 years. The words ripped through me. Missing. Not given away. Not adopted. Missing. Taken. Kidnapped. My entire childhood. School, birthdays, holidays, loneliness. Everything was built on a crime. My parents didn't just buy me. They stole me. Bought me from someone who stole me. Covered it up. Raised me on a lie. The clerk couldn't give me personal info. Without legal permission. But she looked at me, really looked. And whispered. She still lives in Ohio. That was enough. I spent the next 11 hours tracking her down. I went through online directories. Old newspaper entries. Property records. Social media accounts with the same last name. My hands were cramped. My head hurt. My stomach was empty. But every time I thought about quitting, I saw that receipt in my mind. Payment received. Child transferred. And I kept going. Finally, I found an address. A small blue house. With a porch swing. And neatly arranged flowers. It didn't look like the home of someone who lost her baby. But pain doesn't always look broken on the outside. My hands were shaking so bad. I had to hold the railing just to walk to the door. I knocked. Once. Twice. The door opened a little. A woman with tired eyes. Gray streaks in her hair. And a softness that felt familiar in a way I couldn't explain. Looked at me. Her eyes widened. Her lips trembled. She whispered. Barely audible. Sloan? I froze. How do you know my name? She covered her mouth with her trembling hand. I used to call you that. Sloan was the name I chose before you were born. Before you were. Her voice cracked. Before you were taken. I didn't move. She didn't move. We just stared at each other. Like time itself had stopped. Then she whispered. You look exactly like my mother. A tear slid down her cheek. Are you my daughter? I nodded slowly. Her knees buckled. And she collapsed into me. Hugging me like she had been waiting her whole life to breathe again. She sobbed into my shoulder. I felt her tears soak my shirt. I never stopped searching, she cried. I never gave up. Everyone told me to move on. But I couldn't. And in that moment, that soft, fragile, breaking moment, I felt something I had never felt in 18 years. Home. We sat at her kitchen table. She made tea. But her hands trembled so much. She spilled half of it. She told me everything. She was 21 when I was born. Young, broke, overwhelmed. But hopeful. The family who raised me were family friends. People she trusted. They visited her at the hospital. Held me. Congratulated her. But one night, while she was asleep, I disappeared. Security footage mysteriously failed. The nurses claimed they saw nothing. There were no fingerprints. No witnesses. No leads. She suspected them. The couple who raised me. But they vanished the very next day. Left town. Sold their house. Cut all ties. Her voice cracked when she said, I searched for you for years. Every birthday. Every holiday. Every time I saw a little girl with brown hair. I wondered if it was you. I held her hand. I'm here now, I whispered. I'm not going anywhere. We went straight to the police station. With all the documents. When the detectives saw the receipt, their faces darkened. One said, "This isn't adoption paperwork. This is evidence of a trafficking transaction." Another officer said quietly, "This case is going federal." They took the box, photographed every page, scanned every signature. They treated me like what I truly was. A missing child found after 18 years. That night, officers drove to my old house and arrested both of them. Kidnapping, trafficking, forgery, medical fraud, obstruction, conspiracy. The list was long. I didn't go to see them. I didn't need to. They stole my life. But they would never steal another day of my future. Living with my real mother was strange at first. Her house smelled like lavender and warm bread. She left little notes on the fridge. She knocked before entering my room. She asked about my day. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. I cried the first time she hugged me goodnight. Not because it hurt, but because it healed something I didn't know was broken. We started therapy together. We learned each other's habits, favorite foods, fears, stories. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy. But it was real. And real was enough for me. 6 months later, I testified in court. I told the judge, I wasn't raised. I was hidden. The courtroom was silent. My kidnapper mother looked at me with hatred. My kidnapper father looked away in shame. The judge sentenced them to decades in prison. They would grow old, behind bars, the same way they stole my entire childhood. One evening, as I sat on the porch swing of my real mother's house, she came outside with 2 cups of cocoa. She sat beside me quietly. "I'm sorry for everything you went through," she whispered. I shook my head. "You didn't do anything wrong." She squeezed my hand gently. "You survived something unimaginable. But you didn't let it turn you cold. You didn't let it define you." I looked at her. A woman who lost her baby and still learned how to love again. "I'm finally home," I whispered. And for the first time in 18 years, I meant it. I used to think my story was about being unwanted. Now I know it's about being unstoppable. I wasn't adopted. I wasn't abandoned. I wasn't forgotten. I was stolen. But I fought my way back. To the truth. To justice. To the mother who never stopped searching. And to the life I was meant to have. And that makes me whole again.